Welcome to season 2 of Why Think Tank, the quarantine edition. I know you all are used to seeing us on the virtual couch. We plan on getting back to the studio at this moment. A few of us are quarantining or coming out of quarantine. So continue to pray with us. Y'all know this pandemic is still going on. So continue to stay safe, continue to protect yourself as always. But I'm happy to be back. I'm happy for season 2 to kick off. I think this first topic is going to be very defined. I think it's gonna probably make a couple of people upset. So put on your seatbelt because if we come down your lane or your street, I feel like there might be a couple of potholes. So just know it's okay at the end of the day because here at the think tank we are always having them uncomfortable conversations in comfortable spaces. And this time, this comfortable space is virtual. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let everybody introduce themselves, and then we'll jump right into it because we want to make sure we use all our time to dive as deep as possible into this topic. So I start with in my right corner. We just go around like that.
I'm assuming I'm in your right corner.
Right. There we
All
go.
right.
In mine.
What's up, everybody? Nadia back again for season 2 of the Think Tank. So excited. I think you guys know who I am, but if you don't, my name's on the screen, Nadia Givens, and I'm just glad to be back as a partner in the YA Think Tank.
I'm Leroy Davenport. Good to be back with you all. Joining in from Starkville, Mississippi, pastor 16th Session Missionary Baptist Church. Good to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Gab, a partner. Oh my gosh, this sounds so official. On YA Think Tank. So happy to be back in the new year. Merry Happy New Year to everybody. Can't wait to just, get into things with y'all.
Good deal. And to introduce myself again is Floyd Trey Lee, the young adult pastor here at Brown. But also, I'm about to announce something right here, world premiere. Nadia Givens, aka Bishop, and Gab, Evangelist Gabby, they are now the two hosts. So there's like what one, I'm one third of the group, so it's three of us hosting Why Think Tank. So this won't be the last time you see them. You're gonna be seeing them all throughout season 2. So this is something new we're gonna try. They definitely are helping me stay creative, and they're helping me make sure we pull the topics that a lot of people don't like to talk about, or sometimes you don't hear the church approach. So thank you to Pastor Orr and Pastor Conley and the rest of the staff that allows us to create this platform to have these conversations. And our special guest today is Dr. Leroy Davenport, soon to be. So we thank him for taking the time to jump in on this call with us. But let's go ahead and have this conversation. So, as you know, the topic for today is social media. And you notice the ME stands out because we're talking about ourselves. And we're just talking about that filter because a lot of people walk around with a filter. Before COVID, people were wearing masks. We just were using those masks on social media. We grew up in so many different areas. You know, you had the Stone Age, the information age, but now we're in the social media age, and everybody is creating this identity of themselves just to fit a couple of likes or a couple of retweets or a couple of reposts. And so what we're finding out is your favorite social media superheroes are actually behind the closet villains that you didn't know. They are your Are you afraid of the dark monsters that are really living a life that's so different from the life that they're presenting to us here on social media? And so we noticed how social media has made a lot of people start to live their life outside of social media to the point it's causing a lot of mental health. With the pandemic having us locked in, a lot of people are tuned into their phones, and so you're noticing everything everybody is doing. You're tracking people's lives a little bit more, sometimes tracking their life a little bit more than you're tracking your own life. And so just to kick this off, we're gonna get right into the first question. How has social media influenced your life? And anybody can have it.
I guess I'll start. Background. Let me give background, okay? So I am not only quote unquote, I guess I call myself a social media enthusiast, but this is what I deal with on a day-to-day basis. So social media marketing advertising and things like that. This is my space, and I love it, but I also hate it at the same time, to be honest with you. Social media has had a very big influence on my life, and it just didn't start with Instagram. It just didn't start with Facebook. It started with MySpace and Black Panic and all the other, things that we have seen over our, I'm aging myself and I'm not even old, y'all. But all the things that we have seen over like our lifetime, um, it has caused me to compare myself to even slips into bouts of depression because there is like this fear of missing out, or I'm not enough, or just really being down on myself for comparing my highlight reel or my movie to somebody else's highlight reel. Like, it really has not been the bestest of friends. Now, don't get me wrong, social media has its, many benefits. Like, people are starting businesses, they're being able to connect with family and friends. Even during COVID, people were able to start businesses, but also, stay connected with those people who may live overseas. I know Facebook, its main like mission was to connect people, to be sure that we're catching up with each other, that we're still able to love on each other and experience each other. But it's not always the best thing with us being connected to people and making friends or followers with people that we really don't know, because there are some things that we are dealing with ourselves that I guess you can call them triggers. We're triggered by a lot of stuff, and we spend a lot of time. Like, the average person spends about 90 minutes a day on social media, just scrolling. Like, they might not even post like anything. They're literally just scrolling and probably switching throughout apps, and there are so many different social media apps. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, for me, social media has really increased my anxiety, especially since the pandemic. So I'm a big extrovert. You see it in face to face, but on social media, I'm almost like an introvert. And the reason I say that because I don't post much. You don't see a lot of updates from my page. Every now and then, if I consider it to be a big moment, I may post something, but you're not gonna see just ordinary posts, and that's because I know everyone is watching. And so, social media has revealed to me insecurities I didn't realize I even had. I remember as a pastor when the pandemic first began, I was nervous about even preaching live because I know once it's out there. If something goes wrong, we end up on the church world of laughs page, different things like that. And so, it helped me to realize that we compare ourselves more than we realize, and we don't really use social media in what it was intended to be. And so we really think about Facebook, Instagram, even MySpace was ways that we can connect virtually. And now we've made it to where this is where we showcase ourselves. Not necessarily to connect with family and friends from high school who we haven't seen in years, but it's how we showcase and broadcast ourselves. Every post is an announcement. Is what we're doing. We never show that bad moment, but we show every good moment. And then we don't just show it, but we know what time to post it because we know at certain times you have more traffic. We're not gonna show it at 6 in the morning, but we're gonna wait till we know our friends and family are on social media so we can get those likes. And so, if we're not careful, social media has put us in that point where we actually live for the likes, and that's a dangerous place to be in because in that moment it really begins to rob us of our self-esteem and our self-worth and our values. And so, for me, social media has influenced me by helping me realize just how insecure I really am.
So Leroy and Gab are both extroverts. I'm the introvert. So social media has actually played a very different role in my life. So I know there are, of course, negatives, but I want to bring a different perspective to it. So for me, spending time on social media, being able to engage with people that I wouldn't normally talk to in person helped me a lot to get out of my shell. And I know it sounds weird, but I was able to make friends with people. And, you call them internet thugs or Twitter thugs, or, they got keyboard thugs. I use social media as a way to connect with people, to get out of my shyness that I wouldn't normally do it in person. And if anything, when I started to post stuff, especially when it came to ministry and when it came to content that I was putting out, the response that I get made me realize that I actually had something to say that people cared about listening to. But the flip side to that is over time, I started to get a little bit too worried about whether or not they were listening to me. So it started as a positive. It started as something that really did encourage me, because a lot of the followers that I've had has been because I put out some live video talking about some scripture or having to do with the podcast that I was recording at the time. So it started out pretty good. And then over time, it was like, oh, I don't like this attention. I don't want people to, like Leroy said, once it's out there, it's out there. And anybody can comment, and everybody's not nice. And as an introvert, like, wait a minute, why are you talking about me like this? Why do you feel this way about me? So it had it for me, it had its negatives and its positives. But over time, I've learned to kind of lean into it, lean out of it. It really is a touch and go thing for me. But I have a different story. Social media really helped me out a lot.
So for me, I guess I even say for me, when it comes to social media, I can relate to each and everybody's testimony on how social media has influenced them. But it's a word that Gab used was enthusiast. But it's another word out there called influencers, and we have so many social media influencers. But the scary part is everybody shouldn't have an influence on your life. It's certain things people say, they get a lot of clout. That's a word, a lot of clout. They try to get, they're considered clout chasers. They're trying to gain that attention. So they'll do anything, say anything to make people follow them or at least believe this is who they really are. And the scary part about it is people out here really trying to live the life that you are saying that you're living, or you are influencing them to live. And the scary part is social media has made everybody think they can be a therapist, and that's not the case. Like, if you're not a trained professional, you shouldn't be giving anybody mental health tips. When it comes to this pandemic, everybody became doctors on social media and telling you what kind of green juice hint to be drinking, or what type of lemons and water you should be putting your face up. Like, everybody had a remedy that was supposed to cure you or keep you from catching COVID. It just seemed like social media influence in a bad, it has its positive influence, but it has its negative influence a little bit heavier. And that's because everybody is trying to find a way to become an influencer. And what scares me is that the wrong people are getting that power. And now you have young ladies or young men listening to that influencer and saying, hey, well, if this is what they do, then I should do it too. Just talk about domestic violence. Ari Fletcher, she was speaking about her and her relationship with Moneybag Yo, and she was speaking on how she likes for her boyfriend to be a little bit aggressive. And so for some people, they didn't think that was a good way to, approach things, being that she's considered a social media influencer. So I guess my question to you all is that should everybody have that power to influence, or better yet, what's a way to know when it's time to step away from somebody's advice, or when to take their advice, or just to know, like, hey, this social media is not real?
We have to really just really evaluate if it's healthy or not. Um, and we want to get biblical about it. Scripture tells us to test the spirit by the spirit. And so if we know it's not lining up with the word of God, or we know that the advice or the influence that we're having from social media is leading us to go astray from Christ and not really helping us to grow in a healthy way, it's time to stay away from it, or really pay attention to how what we read, what we watch, what we repost, how it makes our body feel, how it alters our thinking, how it plays on our mental and our emotions. Just really paying attention to how it affects us and how it shapes us.
I think a way to know that it's time to stop listening to a person is when you are now forming habits that you don't know where they came from, or having ideas or insecurities or fears that you don't know where they popped up from, or they're not yours. Just like scripture tells us that our thoughts are not our own, that they come from somewhere. And at some point, we have to acknowledge that if you scroll past something enough times, that thought becomes a part of your, your thought process. And
Explore page.
listen, I stay away from it. Um, but as far as should people have that platform, you get into like the legalities of stuff about freedom of speech and how we should all be able to say what we want to say, and we have the room, and this is my platform and I can do it. And I don't feel like everyone should have a platform, but this is what I tell people whenever I'm asked something along the lines of this question, is that you have a responsibility to the audience that you're serving. And that if you are putting out content, regardless of what it is that you want people, how you want to be perceived, you have a responsibility to the people who are receiving your music. And I think about when Cardi and Megan Thee Stallion put out WAP, right? And it was a whole thing. Like, y'all putting this music out here, as young girls listen to this music. And Cardi was like, I didn't tell y'all to let your kids listen to my music. But the reality of it is, how much can we really keep them from listening to it? So of course our audience isn't a targeted audience of believers, but they listen to it anyway. They saw the video. Everybody, it was streaming all over social media. We saw it when it dropped. But we have a responsibility to the people that we're putting content out to. And for anyone who cares about who's receiving what they're saying, then that's a matter of them deciding this may not be good. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people who are putting out content aren't worried about the response. They're worried about the check that comes behind it, and they're worried about the likes that they get, but now not how it impacts people. Gabby, you look like you got something you want to say.
No, I just love the banter. I love the talk. Like, I think the first thing that popped into my mind was the fact that the term influencer did not come about until a check was put behind it. Like, it was never meant to be this thing of, I don't think it was ever meant to be this big, if you want me to be completely honest with you about it. But because people are now, people are basically making money off of word of mouth. Like, because I'm leaving a review and this is what it is. Oh, you should live my life. Now I get a check for it. It's really become like this huge thing. Do I believe that we are all influencers, and though we may not get a check, we are all influencing somebody in some type of way. And so I even had to check myself, like, sometimes, because influencing was something that I wanted to do. I'll be completely honest with you. I can sit at home and take pictures and be cute and make money. Of course I'm gonna do it. Why not? Like, it's fun. What? But no, like, I think, like I said, I think that we're all influencers. And back to Nadia's point, like, we all have a responsibility, because once you put it out there, Leroy, once again, it's out there. And yes, you can edit it. Yes, you can make it cute. You can go back and fix mistakes or whatever the case may be. But just because you delete it, it's not gone from the internet. Like, people still remember it. And that's the other part to it. Like, it's still in people's memory. Like, you delete it, but like, it's still affecting me some way. It still made me feel a type of way, or I still agree with it. And I do think that people, they don't steward the responsibility of their influence well. And that is why we have, like, children who are doing self-harm to themselves, or trying to, like, have a shape at 11, or just trying to work out. Like, so I did a study a couple of months ago, and I had to basically look up the pros and cons of influencers. And one of the things that really, like, made me sad was, I think, excuse me if I quote this wrong, but it had to be between 30 and 50% of 11-year-old girls from 9 to 11 are now trying to work out in order to lose weight. They're not even teenagers yet. And because they're looking at people who are like the Aries and the Jadas, and even other people of other races, ethnicities, colors, whatever the case may be, they're looking at these people trying to be them, not realizing that, to be honest with you, social media is a very fake place. it's literally a concept that we have made into a culture, and it has its own rules. It has its own, etiquettes. Like, there are things that you should and should not do. And to be honest with you guys, there are still being laws made about social media. That's how fresh it is. It's not anything that people thought would be so huge, like the internet. Like, if you want me to be honest about it, people didn't think that the internet was gonna blow up, but it did. And now it's what we search for everything. And so social media is becoming like it is a subset of the internet in a sense, and it's becoming a way of life for people. Literally, like, people wake up and the first thing that they're doing is going to Instagram to post a video, or going to Twitter to post a tweet. So I just think that when it comes to influencing, you do have to be careful. And you also have to be honest with yourself about why. Like, your why has to mean something to you. And if it doesn't, then you're really, like, you're being irresponsible at the end of the day. So yeah.
Wow. So I'm gonna get a little spicy. If that's okay with you, we about to get a little spicy. For the audience, we about to get a little spicy. So put some fire emojis in here because this is where it's about to go. And also for my saints, if you all are wondering what WAP is, don't go look that up. It just means waffles and pancakes, okay? That's what it means, waffles and pancakes. That's all you need to know.
Worship
Leave it at
and
that.
praise, if you're real
Right,
serious.
Amen.
worship and praise. There we go. Either those two, they work. You don't need to go look it up, okay? All right. But I want to ask this tonight. I got a question for Gab, and I got a question for Nadia and Leroy. And so I'm gonna ask Nadia and Leroy first because they are both ministers and pastors. So let me ask you all this: social media influencing. We just noticed what Pastor Mike Todd did with the spit in his brother's face. Do you believe a lot of ministries have become more driven to be social media pastors, or do you believe that people are really trying to get people to know the Lord or really connect to the gospel, or do you believe that they are trying to catch that wave of being a social media influence and a pastor at the same time?
Ooh wee. Alicia says spice it up. Um, when I think about eye-catching sermons, I think about Pastor Orr. Pastor Orr has been doing illustrations for as long as I can remember, right? Some things that happened in the sanctuary, you like, what? But it brought the people in, but Pastor Orr also has very sound teaching. And what people of God have to realize is that illustrations, the colorful things, nothing creates change, or nothing sparks change with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Let's just get that understood. No matter how you present it, none come to the Father unless he draw them. And if you're not exalting the name of Jesus in what you're doing, you're really blowing smoke and mirrors, right? I do feel that there is a wave of social media preachers who are attempting to gather an audience by their illustrations and by their posts and by the music and by the reels and the videos, and they're attempting to draw people in, but they're lacking the substance of the gospel. When Michael Todd, when it all came out, the big thing is that Michael Todd has done this before, but he did it before he had a following. He did it with the same brother that he did it with this time, but he did it before there was a camera watching him, right? I've been following Michael Todd for a long time. Great guy. I think he's brought a lot of people to Jesus. Awesome. Hallelujah. But I also think that on the flip side of that is that at some point you have to be careful. And this was my prayer for him, that he does not become compromised in the seek of drawing people in by, the illustrations, because sometimes the gospel can get lost. If it's that distracting, if it's the conversation is not about what Jesus did with the spit in the dirt anymore. It's just about his spit. We're not even talking about how the eyes were healed, how the blind man, like, nobody's talking about that. And that's the issue. If the gospel is being trampled over by the illustration, then we got a problem. And I think a lot of social media pastors, I actually got a memory on my Facebook today that said, imagine Facebook goes down and you lose your whole ministry because you have nothing else. You have nothing else to stand upon, because the gospel is it. It's it for wherever you are. If you're preaching outside on the sidewalk, it's the gospel. But I do think there are a wave of people who are attempting to profit off of what the church is built on, which is spreading the gospel, but instead they're spreading their own narratives, and they're choosing to, and I hate to say this word, but pimp the people, just by putting Jesus on something, but really you would probably be a regular social media influencer if it wasn't for the fact that you knew the Bible. So, Leroy, what you think?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The gospel does not need gimmicks. We're at that stage now, and I can get it because one of the reasons why I didn't go live as much is because I don't have all those cameras. So I'm in a smaller context. You don't have all those angles, and people are not gonna watch it. People will not tune in because they can click off your screen and go to someone else engagement in a matter of seconds. And so for a lot of people, they realize that, and just like other people compare, pastors compare who got the most likes, what church ministry has the most likes, and they're trying to do things to get their church out there, to get that name out there, because we're in a new space when it comes to ministry. Ministry will never be the same anymore. From now on, we have hybrid ministry. That's true. That's a fact. It's factual. We have hybrid ministry. We have in person, but we got people who are gonna always tune in virtual. And for some, it's been good. I think about the many members who work on Sunday now can tune in on Sunday, and that's something to really think about because now, for the first time, we're reaching people who want to be in church, and we're abusing the moment. We're abusing the moment. They want to tune in, but instead of them getting sound doctrine or sound word, we're trying to entertain them like it's a movie studio, and we're missing the moment. We're missing the mark of what God is trying to get us to do in this season. And so I just want to say for any pastor or minister who does have that social media platform, man, take it seriously. On the flip side of that, um, I do think it needs to be more of it though. It needs to be more of it, not the illustrations, not gimmicks, but more churches going virtual because for some, this is going to be the only time they tune in. It's going to be some people um, who will watch that 60-second TikTok but never step foot in your church. And so we have opportunities to capitalize, opportunities to be more creative, and serve the present age, the time that we live in right now. And if I can reach someone and share Christ in 60 seconds with a TikTok video or a reel on Instagram or Facebook, as a pastor, as a church leader, I want to take advantage of that moment. But I have to do it in a way where I represent Christ in a way that he's pleased with.
So, in other words, what Leroy said is, don't Tyler Perry the gospel, y'all. But shout out to Tyler Perry if you want to throw us a couple of studio books over here. We can take Wide Think Tank to the Tyler Perry studios. We are definitely down for it. But now, so Gabby, I'm really about to turn up the heat for you. So, and this is not a shot, so please don't take it. So I was hearing you speak about the young ladies trying to, get their bodies in this certain look that they want to look in a certain manner as their the people that they are influenced by or they look up to. Do you think social media has played a part on the BBL surgeries that a lot of people are now getting? And I mean, I know some people are like, forget working out in the gym. I'm finna go to Miami, spend that money, and we done. But right, like forget all that working out. Do you think social media play has helped that business become a more profitable venture?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like there is no other answer. Absolutely. One thing that people fail to realize is that um social media, like its influence in general is huge, and it can shift things like in an instant. Like today, they posted the fact that Rihanna is pregnant and Drake is trending. Like the internet is in shambles because this lady is having a baby. I'm not saying that's not important. Congratulations, Riri, but like the it's just so much in my brain. Okay. Number one, Like I said, social media is my thing. So the whole BBL situation since 2015, it is now 2021. Since 2015, the percentage of BBLs in America alone has risen to 76%. Okay, this surgery is not something that you can just go and get and then you're up the next day. I'm not trying to be too graphic, but there's a lot of blood. You cannot sit on your butt. If you get other surgeries coupled with it, like you can literally lose your life with this surgery. I truly believe that social media has basically glorified this surgery and surgery in general. If you think about it, plastic surgery back in the day, when I say back in the day, I mean like 80s and 90s, was a secret for people. You know what I'm saying? Like people really weren't. And then on top of that, plastic surgery was not as common amongst the average person. Now, a girl my age working a regular smegular job can save up $3,000 to $5,000 and go get it done and come back and be like, oh my gosh, new body, who this? Um, it's just this word of mouth thing. Like that's literally what social media is. It's a faster way to get the word out about something. Um, when it comes to body image in general, seeing other people on social media showcase their bodies has been a thing for a very long time. I think that we all have done it at some point in time, whether we meant to or whether we didn't. We all have had the intention of showing that we look good in some type of way, shape, form, and fashion. And social media just glorifies that. This whole BBL situation, like you have YouTubers and TikTokers and Instagrammers, Twitter people, they're literally showing their journeys of how they're getting this surgery and what it means. And no shade to people who are getting them. Like, do your thing, sis. It's just not for me. But I think that these people who are really like setting this standard, like this beauty standard, and let's be very honest, beauty standards change by decades. And so it used to be, for women, I'm gonna say for women because that's who I am. So for women back in the day, 90s, early 2000s, it was okay for you to be regular and like literally regular. Nowadays, you need eyebrows and your face needs to be beat all the time, and you have to wear you got to be dressed to the nines just to go to Walmart. So just those simple things like play into body image as well, because I feel like I have to be perfect and I have to perform, and I don't, because nobody really looks like that, like just going to this whole situation. And the last thing I'm gonna say is I know a lot of people really don't like this family, but the Kardashians are charged with the new beauty standard. And one thing that I like stress to people when they start talking about them, and just even small waist big behind type situation, is that these people don't look like this for real. Like they have had so many surgeries just amongst themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't even know how much money has gone into them, but like they don't even really look the way that they actually look, if that makes sense. They don't know themselves without plastic surgery. And like that has made the plastic surgery industry, cosmetic surgery industry, a lot of money. But it's really taking a toll on everyday women. And I emphasize women because one, I am a woman, but two, like that is the thing that we see every day. When it comes to just body image, beauty, anything. So I definitely think that, social media plays a big part on just mental health in general. So yeah.
Mm.
Gab, I want to challenge something you said. And I know we're getting spicy. We're going to get a little, take it up. You got mild, spicy, hot. I'm going to take it there. You said no shade to anybody who does it. It's just not for me. And again, this isn't shade, because if it was shade, I mean, I had some like ill intentions. But there is something wrong with it. And if you're watching this and you've had surgery, I'm not telling you that you're a bad person. But what Gab said earlier, well, let me say this: the why can be problematic.
Mhm.
The why you do it can be something that is damaging not only to your body, but to your soul and to your personal self-esteem. And I know I'm going out on a limb saying this, whatever it is, what it is at this point. Like Leroy said, once it's out there, it's out there. But it's a challenge because you have to ask the question why. I think about now, Instagram you can limit your likes on Instagram. You can limit to where you can only see maybe 2 or 3 people like something. And I think they're doing it on purpose for study purposes. I really do. But I think about how your timeline looks like it's the majority when out of millions of people on the earth, you have 2,000 followers. That is not even close to being a minority. That is a very small percentage. And a lot of times I think to like Black Twitter, where one person will say, all our mamas told us that it was illegal to drive with the light on, in the car at night, right? We all grew up thinking that it was a bad thing to ride around with the light on. And then we grew up and we find out that that was not true. But because all of Black Twitter has said that this is a thing, we think the majority of Black people think the same way. But it's really not the majority. It's a curated community that's not realistic. So when I'm thinking about the BBL thing, it looks like it's the majority. It really does, because you see it on the timeline so much, but it's not. It's not the majority. Most people do look regular. Most people don't have the money to get this surgery. Most people aren't willing to lay on the table and get it done. Now, if you did, that's your business. Like Tabitha Brown said, honey, that's your business. But it's not the majority. And I think social media has given us, like I said, a curated community of thinking that this is actually happening. And the reality of it is it's not even like 1%. It's like 0.000000072%. Like it's that small. Like, and that's why I wanted to challenge the thought of it being such a passive. It's not just for me. Because if we're really going to talk about it and get a little spicy, the question is why? Why do we feel like we have to contribute more to the curated timeline? Why do we feel like this majority is it impacts us so much? Why is it that we feel like we have to fit into the 2,000 followers that we have when only 75 people are liking the pictures and only 100 people are viewing the pictures and only 7 people are sharing the pictures, and the majority really isn't the majority? And I feel like we have to be very careful in the communities that we create within our sphere of influence that allow us to or that push us to create personalities. It's not the majority. It's not. It's 4 of us here right now, right? And out of the 4 of us, they could seem like, oh, Black people are on the internet. Very small number. Very, very small number, but I wanted to challenge that. Get a little spicy.
Yeah, we also have to realize the point of social media too and how they use it now. Social media is set up now where if we Google that surgery, when we get on social media, we're gonna see an ad about it, and we click that ad, we're gonna see 3 or 4 more ads, and although it's not the majority, we're gonna think it is because we see all these ads. And so, social media, in a way, thinking about influence, knows how to influence us with the way we want to be influenced. Because the moment we see that interest, or the moment they see that interest, they're going to continue to feed us companies that give this surgery. We'll see posts who've had this surgery. We'll see it more and more. And before we know it, we develop our own community of this thing we think we want because social media is buying into it.
Yeah, and I think that's what brings it to this part. And I know I want to open the door for people to ask questions. But I do want to say this: the mental health side of social media, because a lot of us would say social media doesn't make me compare. It doesn't get to me like that. But I do believe social media has found some kind of way to affect how we live our everyday life. Even if you say it don't affect me like that, I can do it all day and it doesn't change how I feel about something. But I do believe if you look at social media long enough, it starts to direct your mind to think, man, You may never wanted the beans before, but you see everybody getting the beans, and now you're like, man, maybe I need a beans in front of my house. But the reality is, like, you never desired that. But social media puts it in your face to think you should desire this. Or, like everybody is in the entrepreneurial space. I'm for it. Own your own business, own your own stuff. But if that's not what you want to do, then you shouldn't feel like your life is incomplete because you do not own your own business. If you want to clock into a 9 to 5 every day of your life, do what you got to do. All I'm saying is that's because you got to understand that we all are different. Like God has given us all different kinds of purposes, but I'm scared that that is why a lot of suicide rates have went up high because people are influenced by what we do. And that's why I think Nadia said it, Gab said, one of you all said it, that we all are influencers. And the reality is we influence the little community. You may have 32 followers, but them 32 followers follow you because you influence them somehow. So how you approach your day-to-day life, people are watching, people are trying to take in what you do. And so whatever you're saying, how you moving, they're looking at that and saying, well, if they do it, then I can do it too. But the scary part is when people start to think, well, if I don't get to that point, then maybe my life means nothing. And I'm seeing a lot of people are now taking their lives because of the mental health aspect of what social media has did. It's like a matrix. You don't know you in it until you get out of it. And so I had to take a fast from social media because I found myself in that matrix. And it wasn't the fact that I wanted something that somebody else had, but my mind started telling me, maybe you need that. And if you get that, then you'll be fulfilled. So now you think about the Miss USA lady. She said she was craving it. It was to the point, even when she won, she wanted more. And the standard of beauty started to change. The ideal of what she thought about what her life should have looked like started to change, and it put her in a position of suicide. And she lost. They found her dead. I guess my question is, social media is driving mental health in a different direction. How do we get a grasp of it, or how do you catch yourself before it's too late?
Um, I can't wait to hear Nadia's response. I'm so excited. But one thing I wanted to say was that when it comes to mental health and social media, I will say this, and I'm gonna answer your question. The fact that people are talking about it now is beautiful because of, and I hate for it to be a cause and effect thing, but not even just suicide, but people sharing their real lives and saying, I have anxiety. This is what I struggle with. One person I remember vividly who came out and talked about social anxiety was Summer Walker. Saints, if you don't know who Summer Walker is, it's okay. You don't have to. But she's a singer, and people were like, but you're famous. You sing in front of thousands of people. How is this possible? She's still a human being. And I think that we minimize people because of the platforms that, we are given. Even from my own experience, I was HBCU queen. And for some people, it's like, oh, girl, that's cute. You was a homecoming queen. No, I was put on this big pedestal and having to be, I felt like I had to perform for people. And on the inside, I'm done. Like I don't want the responsibility. And one thing that I think that we also forget, another thing I think we also forget is that when it comes to the things that we inherit or the things that God gives to us, there are two things that come with it. That's favor and responsibility. Most of us want favor, but a lot of us don't want the responsibility that comes with it. And so we have to be careful with that. But social media, when it comes to mental health, how do you catch yourself? Um, I really don't have an answer for that, if you want me to be completely honest about it. Because everybody is different. And it's very like situational. You have to know yourself. And I saw somebody comment said and say that social media isn't for you if you aren't mature enough. And I don't think I completely agree. I think that we all just are trying to figure it out. And in us figuring it out, social media has planted itself in the midst of it all. And we're trying to pull from so many different people and so many different things and, explore page, timeline, reel, whatever the case may be. Um, you do have to know your limits, but you, like you said, Trey, like you don't know what you don't know until you know it. Like that's really what it is. Like you really don't realize like what's going on. So when it comes to mental health, I think that everybody should definitely find somebody to talk to, whether they be a professional, a friend, someone to be an outlet, and find time away from the screen. And Nadia, you said it, people like Instagram is limiting likes, but if you have an iPhone, and I think even Android users, no shade, that's your business. Like there's settings to where you can set screen time. Like you can lock your apps and you can take a moment away, like from your phone in general. I know some people who just simply turn their phones off, but like companies are starting to realize that they have a responsibility as well, whether it be metaverse, aka Facebook, or Instagram, TikTok. And even TikTok has like different communities that are curated saying that, guys, it's okay to be this way, it's okay to be human. So I think it just comes with learning. And the old folks used to say you got to live a little longer. And I truly believe that's what it is.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. Most of the time, by the time you realize it's affecting you mentally or emotionally, you're already so far trapped into it that you're trying to find a way out. And with the whole topic of mental health, I mean, what is mental health? Um, we as a people are still learning what mental health is and learning ways to um, become healthy in all areas of life. And that's emotionally, that's mentally. And so I think one solution is we need to use social media to really be an influence on mental health and how to get help, um, how to get counseling, putting different tips out and strategies out, and let that influence others. That way, when people find themselves sliding down this hole, they can realize what's going on so that they can get the help they need to get out of it. But I think most people don't realize what's going on because we really don't know what mental health is.
I feel like Gabby said she wanted to hear my answer because this is my career field. If y'all don't know, I'm a therapist. So this is literally what I do every day is talk about mental health and help people with their mental health. A very practical tip that comes to mind is you have to, first of all, know what your goals are. Follow me, okay? And if you're following people who do not align with your goals, then you are subjecting yourself to being influenced by things that can get you off track. So for me personally, I started working out. Gabby and I, our trainer, we've been working out for about 4 or 5 months, 6 months at this point. And I started seeing people who had the fitness goals that I wanted to have, but it wasn't helping me. It was making me feel like I wasn't doing enough. So I unfollowed them. I muted the ads. I muted it because I didn't need that influencing me while I was on my journey to getting where I needed to be. But I did start following people who had more healthy and positive tips on how to maintain fitness, on how to eat better, and on how to, change the things about myself that I wanted to change for healthier reasons and not for uh, beauty standards or whatever like that. So I think, like I said, a very practical tip is to follow people who are aligning with your goals. And I don't mean like body goals or car goals or hair goals. I mean like your interpersonal values and beliefs, the core things about you that are not going anywhere. They're not changing with the times. They're not changing with the fads. This is what I believe. If you are a believer, I would encourage you to follow more believers. If you are a person who struggles with your self-esteem, I encourage you to follow pages that list affirmations and daily words or encouragement. If you're a person who struggles with body positivity, you follow people who look like you. Follow people who are speaking the same things that you are going through in a positive way so that your timeline doesn't necessarily look like a false reality, but it looks like somewhere that you're trying to go because you're mentally, you are influenced by what you see. It's like the Bible tells us to guard our hearts, guard our eyes, guard our ears, to protect the gates that are to our souls. And even though social media wasn't a thing in the Bible days, and to think that there would ever have to be a time we would have to fast from community, crazy, right? Who would have thought we would ever have to take a fast from community? But because this wasn't necessarily set in place, and I can imagine because there's nothing new under the sun, some things are happening, in the Bible that maybe we just haven't tapped into their revelation yet. But like again, I say it again, if what your goals are don't they're if they're not reflected in your timeline, then it's time to mute, it's time to unfollow, it's time to snooze for 30 days, it's time to restrict, it's time to block if you need to, it's time to delete, because our environment absolutely influences everything that we think and feel and that we do. So your mental health is a result of what you allow into your heart, and you have the control, the autonomy to decide what that is. It's up to you to make the decision.
Dope, dope, dope. So, right now we about to open the door for chats. People that have questions that want to join in on, just any questions that you have, because like I said, you have so much wisdom on this one call, from a therapist to someone who works with students every day to somebody that's studying how to use social media in the correct manner to be able to benefit from it. Because, like I said, social media is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, you all. Social media is actually something that can be used to create more positivity, to create more opportunities. I just think sometimes the negative is a little bit heavier, or is used or pushed more on the social media platform. So, if there's any questions out there, we definitely want to open the door for it real quick before we shut it down tonight, so people can get to whatever they do. Because I think Nadia said she got to go rewatch Power or something like that.
I
I
do.
ain't putting up business out there,
I do. I
but
do. I missed the episode last night. I definitely need to watch it. But if y'all got questions, come on, we got a little time. Let's get a little spicy in here. Let's ramp it back up.
Yes,
right.
come on in the room. Say something. Anything.
Let's see. Yeah, we got some questions, and let's see. They put it up there. Let's see if somebody has some questions. If not, like I said, I continue to just say this, that I do believe that everybody has their own individual journey in this life. How you approach it is how you should understand. Like Nadia said, those goals that you have, you need to keep them goals. If what people are doing around you does not fit your goals, you got to delete yourself from it. And I know you might want to be a part of the cool kids, but it's okay, because you don't want nothing to get in the way of your goals, or you don't want your goals to start to look like somebody else's goals, because that happens a lot. And then you miss out on what God has for you. What I'm learning and what I'm hearing from a lot of people, because I'm just 30 years old, but 40 is the new 25. So, uh, what I'm hearing, people are just finally hitting their peak at those ages. So don't let age influence you. Some people haven't found what their career is going to be yet. It's okay. As long as God put breath in your body, you still have opportunity to keep growing and figuring it out. Keep knocking on them doors. Keep pursuing purpose. That's what I believe. Continue to pursue purpose. It don't seem like we have any questions, so I guess we answered everything people wanted to hear. The conversation was a little bit, it got deep, and so it's giving people opportunity to think on some of this and chew on it, and that's okay too. Our hope is that we get back in the studio next time for the next for episode 2, so you guys can definitely get ready for that. Get back in the studio. That's gonna be fun. What's another thing? Like I said, we Nadia and Gab are hosting with us. A lot of times we say goals that are on God plan for us. That's definitely true, Leah. We do that a lot. Uh, that's why that goes back to aligning ourselves with what God wants for us, and not what we want for ourselves and what other people want for us. It's like, what do God want for me? I do truly believe that God has abundantly life for you, and that looks different for us all. You know what I'm saying? But again, like I said, here, Think Tank, we're trying to continue to grow. We continue to try to have heavy topics. We want to have other special guests hop on with us. So if you want to, you want to hop on the hot seat with us and dive into these conversations, reach out to me. You can reach out to my email address at floydlee3rd@gmail.com, and or you can contact me at 662-822-8021 if you, like I said, if you want to step into the challenge, because like I said, we always are trying to have these type of conversations because we believe that it definitely pushes the boundaries and it makes people think. Because like I said, as Christians, we got to be influencers in all these areas: social media, mental health, whatever it is. We gotta stand in the gap. God allows us to sit at these tables to show them what He looks like, as Jay-Z said on Kanye West song, the best selfie. We are the best selfie because we made in the image of God. So I think that's how I'm gonna close it out tonight, right there. But if y'all got anything, if Nadia, Gab, or Leroy got anything they want to say before we close it out.
Somebody said we need to know that it's okay to go to counseling. I second that, third that, fourth that, stand on that, stamp that, stand behind that. I wanted to give one more tip that I feel like would be helpful. If you want to limit your time on social media, something I used to tell my students is if you wake up at 8 o'clock, try not to log onto social media until 9. Give yourself the first hour of the day. If you can't do the first hour, do the first 30 minutes. And you'll start to see that it stops becoming the first thing on your mind. You can train yourself to do anything. It stops becoming the first thing on your mind. And if you start the day without engaging with social media, then you can finish the rest of your morning. And then it's lunchtime. You're like, oh, I haven't checked Instagram today. And at that point, it starts to become more of a habit. Random, can we normalize knowing people make mistakes and forgiving them instead of canceling? Ooh, you got to watch the cancel culture episode, Alicia. We did a whole episode on cancel culture. You got to go back and watch the rewind. Gotta go back and watch the rewind. But that's my extra tip about mental health. Just how to keep yourself from going down that rabbit hole. Give yourself 15 minutes. Whatever time you wake up, put your phone down and just say, hey, I'll check it once I eat my breakfast. Or I'll check it once just something, anything to distract yourself. And over time, it'll stop becoming such a big deal for you.
I think that everybody should really understand, or at least grow to understand and know, like I said, social media is a fake place. Like, it doesn't really exist. We have made it a physical place, and it has desensitized us to so many different things. So in order to have a better interpersonal relationship with yourself, take some time to log off, or even like Nadia said, find your people. One thing I love about TikTok, and I don't have TikTok on my phone right now because I'll scroll for 3 hours, but one thing I love about TikTok and Twitter is that you can find your people. Like, there's a talk for everything. There's a teacher talk, there's a therapy talk, there's a cook talk. Like, find your people, find the people that inspire you, not the people that you are going to be essentially jealous of, in a sense. Find people who share similar goals, whether they be health, whether they be career wise or whatever. And one thing that somebody once told me was, comparison is not actually a bad thing. It goes back to the why and how you do things. If you're going to compare, you should turn it back inward and say, okay, this is what I want to do. Let me try to reshape these things, but it shouldn't go to an extreme. So you should really get to the root of why it is that you want to change what you're changing, or trying to get to the goal of what it is that you want to get to. And use social media for what it is for. Scrapbooking, that's what it's for. It's for you to keep up with yourself. Let's be honest about it. That's exactly what it's for. Post your picture, post your content, post Pookie and them. Like, that is what it's for. And be happy. It don't have to be perfect. It does not have to be perfect. Trust me. And just be yourself. I love somebody said, transparency, tell your story even if you're still going through it. Like, be honest, be who you are, off camera, or out of the boomerang or reel, or whatever the case may be. So yeah.
All right, well, I thank everybody for tuning in, hopping on this, and definitely getting into this conversation with us as we about to wrap it up. You all be safe. Oh yeah, I wanted to say this too. I know we in this metaverse. Please, you all, I do not want to see nobody getting a metaverse boyfriend or girlfriend because they can't find a relationship. Come on, there are some real people out there. We don't need no fake metaverse weddings and stuff like that, you know. But that's just me being a little spicy tonight. But anyway, as we always say here at the YA Think Tank, be safe and protect yourself. We'll talk to y'all next time.